Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. I know I haven't been on the main channel for a long time. Thanks to everyone who's still subscribed. Definitely check, family, because we've lost a couple thousand subscribers. Some of you say you were unsubscribed mysteriously. We all know how that goes. And you know what? We've been wondering, what should we be airing on this second channel? We had thought of maybe going the vlog way. We had also thought of maybe doing like a Dr. Mumbi experience where we do more live shows and podcasts on the main channel. As you know, the main channel is the one that went through all the warfare. We do have a secondary channel, Dr. Mumbi Spiritual Show. Definitely check it out. We upload videos there at least 3 to 4 times a week, all related to 5D reality and transitioning us to 5D reality and the relevant news of how Babylon has fallen. You know, I always like to share that news. And on that channel, actually, I did share the whole story of why Charles is coming to Kenya. He's announced that Kenya is going to be the first nation he visits after being crowned king. He had actually wanted it to be France. There's usually this whole French, England connection, but there's a revolution going on in France, family. The revolution that's not being televised. And they were just like, for security reasons, they couldn't really host him there. So that means that bond is not the same. Can you imagine? Actually, because of insecurity in Europe, his first visit has to be to Africa. Like how upside down and back to front the world has become. And if you're not seeing the Babylon has fallen, then I don't know what to tell you, family. I really don't know what to tell you. Before I even get into the story, if you've been following me on my secondary channel, I've been talking a lot about how Hebrew to Negroes was being premiered in South Africa. I also talked about how the venue cancelled last minute. Well, guess what? I have some awesome news to report for all my South African family. It turns out that Soweto Theatre has agreed to host the premiere of Hebrew to Negroes for the first ever time in Africa and in South Africa. The billboards are up and the date is June 11th. It's a Sunday, family. Show up and show out is going to be super exciting. And I'm sure now, especially with the whole drama of the cancellation, even more people are going to show up. You know, Babylon, sometimes they don't know how they bless us when they think they're messing us up. But those are stories for the day's family. Why is Charles coming to Kenya? You know, I actually just recorded this show. And as I finished, I realized there was no audio, which is why I'm holding my phone. I'm doubling up the audio on here, family. You see, what many don't know that the Agikoyo nation and the Agikoyo seers have talked to us about, especially us initiates, is that during the era of Elizabeth's father, Kenya was like the playground for the rich. They had, they first came with their lake, those planes that used to land on the lake, and they took over this area called Lake Naivasha. Then they went to Mount Zion. But they actually don't know that this started with Victoria. And Victoria, all those that they did, the discovering guys, what were they called? I can't even remember, but those were actually wizards who were looking for power across the world. And when they landed on Mama Africa, they were told of a powerful nation beside Mount Zion. And that's why even during the Berlin Conference, Victoria was very specific that she wanted Kenya, and specifically Mount Zion and her people. And if we're to be honest, that's how we ended up being part of the British Empire. Victoria was looking for power. And I love what my friend, go check him out on Instagram, what he said about the coronation of Charles. He said he has now become the head of the global vampire nation that has ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But their rulership is coming to an end. And for the last couple hundred years, the power they were using to rule was in Mount Zion. I can't say too much about give too much of the details about that. But some just call it the Ark of the Covenant, which was given to us by, the Ethiopians. If you want to know more about that, check out this website, yamobi.com. I've talked about this. I used to talk about this so much. I don't know if I should start reviving some of those videos. Start a like TBT Thursday or something. But the seer, we had a great seer called Mugo Wakabiro, who I think is still alive. He'd be hundreds of years old right now. He came and he told the Agikoyo nation that Kenya faced the Agikoyo nation, because they brought all the nations, the Ma nation, the Gikoyo nation, the Kisi nation, the Kalenjin nation. They brought us all together and called us Kenya, which is why we've been in so much confusion. Like 40 nations are put in a cow pen and told you're one country and you can only have one leader, and there's no negotiations or something. It's every man for himself, every tribe, literally, which is what they love to call us, every nation for himself. But I digress. So he came and he said, because when Elizabeth was coming to visit, he said that she was actually coming to turn Kenya into an apartheid nation. To have us enter a system which was apartheid was way beyond colonialism. That was like slavery in the divided states, where you have black toilets and toilets for dogs and, black, that's how it, you know what I mean. And so he advised the College of Seers to go to Mount Zion and perform certain sacrifices, so that the Great One, the Most High, the Shining One, the All-Powerful One, the One of absolute strength, would give them instructions on what to do. And when they came back down from that mountain, they revealed that they had been told to perform a ritual because Elizabeth would be heading to Mount Zion. And they were told to perform a ritual along the highway that she would be using. There was only one road it was like one road in, one road out, even till today, I think. And so they went and they did they sacrificed the lamb or the goat, as in the days of the biblical age, because the Agikoyo nation actually follows a lot of the Old Testament Hebraic traditions. They just don't label it like that. We label it as the Agikoyo traditions, the Agikoyo culture. And so they went and they did that ritual, and the following day, Elizabeth passed on that road, and when she crossed, literally her father started to die or died, started to leave this world. And by the time she reached the top of the tree, which some say was a Mugumo tree, which is like our shrine. They're sleeping on our shrines, literally. Although I don't know, I've never been to treetops. By the time she reached the top of that tree, she was told that her father had died and she had to go back to England immediately because she was now queen. And in that whole process, it was totally forgotten that the Agikoyo nation was supposed to enter apartheid system. And that's how we actually, as a Kenyan nation, avoided apartheid. Otherwise, we'd be having we wouldn't even be here in these circumstances right now. We wouldn't be as advanced as we are right now. Because one thing about Kenya that I will say, family, is we do have freedom of speech. We do have certain freedoms. You just have to realize that it's also a mafia nation. So if you're talking, make sure you have the spiritual protection to talk. But those are stories for other days. So I find it ironic, family, that Charles would want to, of course they're doing this whole PR thing. They want to make him popular. Of course they want to garner support in the colonial post. They love to call it the Commonwealth, but we know in his head it's just, the Greater British Realms. And Sausage Hands is so unlikable. He's so unlikable, and he's just been caught on camera, in this internet age, just being so unbecoming. But I found it interesting that with everything that had happened, and even with Elizabeth's transition to the other realm, to the underworld, there were certain rituals that were done. I don't even think Kenya was the only one that was doing those rituals to end the vampiristic nation and the control of the vampiristic nation over the whole world, not even just Kenya, not even just the motherland. So I find it ironic, family, that he would actually want to come on his first visit to the motherland. Is he trying to come and reclaim the seat of power? Because ever since Victoria days, family, this empire has run on who knows what, the blood, sweat, and tears. Because, family, there's so much, I'm not going to get too into it, but there's so much that is spiritually being revealed to us, especially some of us who went to these boarding schools, these British boarding schools, and we have zero memory of what they did to us. And now people are starting to recollect that they probably performed some very heavy rituals in a lot of these Catholic boarding schools. Because the first thing the Catholic Church and all these churches came to do is first they'd open a church, and then immediately after they'd open, a school, a boarding school, which literally separated you from your family. So there was a lot of harvesting of energy here in the motherland, and also just being in proximity to Mount Zion, because Mount Zion can be considered one of the first 5D locations on Mama Earth. And with the end of Elizabeth, because you see, that's a feminine energy. Kenya is a feminine nation. We are the womb of creation, family. And we can even say not just Kenya, like southern Ethiopia, as I've explained to you what southern Ethiopia is. I hope I'm showing the map here. That's where the power is, but somehow they've centered the power, one of the power energy harvesting spots, to Kenya. And I think they did it through what they created. They created like a fake royal family over Kenya, energetically and spiritually and with all kinds of magic. Taught them their dark wizardry ways, created covens through the so-called Mamanginas of this world that have been doing the wickedness of Babylon, family, for so long. And the reason I share this is to say that if Charles's magicians and wizards know what's up, Kenya would be the last place he wanted to visit. Because the ancient ones are back. They're in control. It's not business as usual on the motherland. It's not business as usual among the Agikuyu nation. Did you know the real Pope is a woman? Hey, let me not get into that. That's a revelation a friend of mine gave me, and I was like, wow. Because it just hit home. The great seer, anyway, may also be a woman, family. As I told you, the female Messiah is back. And things aren't going to just play out the way they think. So it may actually really be dangerous for him to come to the motherland at such a time as this. But we shall wait and see. Until next time, family. Tuko pamoja.